Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to First UU. My name is Lynn Schlunz. I use she, her pronouns. If this is your first time here or your third time or your 50th time, we welcome you. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Ukiska people, known sometimes by the name Osage, the descendants of the people who were forcibly removed from this land make up the Osage Nation. We acknowledge their continued struggle for justice. Our chalice lighter today is Jennifer. Our chalice lighting words are Refuge by Amy Carol Webb. How often we seek refuge in this sacred flame from the world's trouble and pain. Today, may our lamp light the way for those who know no refuge, that we may open our minds, our arms, our hearts, our mouths to sing. Come, whoever you are, holy, new, and wholly true. Our opening words are Come In, Be Among Us by Sherry Woodbury. I'll need y'all to help. When I point to this side of the sanctuary, which is my right, but I'm thinking stage directions is probably not correct. This side of the sanctuary, when I point to you, will say, Come in. When I point to this side of the sanctuary, my left, you will say, Be among us. To all who are yearning for community, to all who are just getting started, to all who long to go deeper, to all with tender places needing care. Amen. Be among us. To the ones who have healed and have care to give, for those who are curious and hungry to learn, for those who know that they have something to teach. Come in. Be among us. For the ones who are just beginning to suspect that they might nurture others becoming. To the young and the old, the innocent and the jaded, the fresh of mind and the deeply seeped, there is room here for each and every one. Come in. Be among us. Thank you. Our song for the month of September is Come, Come, Whoever You Are, number 188 in the Gray Hymnal. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit to sing.
So yeah, every time we do this month, there's a different accompaniment. Today is the Mountain Dulcimer Day, and we're going to do it all together and then as a 4-part round. So when I point to you, you start, and we keep it going until the end. When I do this, it's time to stop. Ready? Here we go. Now we sing. Come, come, whoever you are. Well, the worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. In the back. Come, come, whoever you are. Lender, worshiper, lover of leaving, a winter caravan of despair. Tired again, come, come, whoever you are. Wonder, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. One more time, come, yet again, come. Good job.
Right. Good morning. I came up early this time so they wouldn't have to come downstairs and get me. My name is Anna Ray. I'm the RE coordinator email downstairs most of the time. So if you have littles, you're welcome to join us before the service, during the service, or I'm also going to walk down after I read the story and I can lead them down there as well. All right. So this month, we're exploring the practice of invitation. We're exploring what our faith has to say about sharing our faith and inviting people to church. So with that in mind, I want to share a wisdom tale that takes us all the way back to Roman mythology. Once upon a time and long, long ago, according to the ancient Roman mythology, there was a couple named Philemon and Bacchus. Philemon and Bacchus had lived long lives, noble lives, but had lived with very little. Jupiter, the Roman king of the gods, had heard of the virtuous couple, but based on all his previous experiences with humans, he had serious doubts as to their goodness. In fact, Jupiter was deep into a devious plan to destroy mankind, but was willing to give it one final chance before starting over again. So one day, he and his son Mercury, the wing-footed messenger god, disguised themselves as worn and weary travelers and went from house to house among the neighbors of Philemon and Bacchus. As Jupiter feared and expected, the neighbors turned him and Mercury away rudely. Then the two gods went to the last house, the cottage of Philemon and Bacchus. Philemon and Bacchus were pleased to have visitors and quickly invited them to come inside and rest before their little hearth fire. They even lugged in more of their precious firewood to make a greater blaze. Before Jupiter and Bacchus could even mention that they were hungry, they brought out fresh fruits, olives, eggs, and wine. Soon the old couple noticed that no matter how often they poured from it, the wine pitcher was never empty. They began to suspect that their guest might be more than mere mortals. But just in case, Philemon and Bacchus decided to provide the closest they could come to a meal that was fit for a god, even if it was the only goose they had. Unfortunately, the legs of the goose were faster than those of Philemon or Bacchus, and it quickly tried to escape. Now, the goose might have been fast, but Philemon and Baucis were smarter. They cornered the goose inside the cottage, and just as they were about to catch it, the goose jumped into Jupiter's lap. To save the goose, Jupiter and Mercury quickly revealed themselves and immediately expressed their pleasure in meeting an honorable couple. The gods were so grateful for the warm welcome and invitation that they told Philemon and Baucis they could have anything they wished for. The couple said that they wished to become temple priests, where they could always be in a position to welcome travelers in and then to eventually die together. This wish was granted, and when they died, they were turned into intertwining trees. This story reminds us that there is a power in inviting and being invited, and that invitations can bring abundance and joy into our lives. And so in the week and days ahead, may all of us, kids and adults alike, bring this spirit of invitation into the world and are living and loving. I'm going to head downstairs through the kitchen.
Offering our gifts to support the work of building inclusive and just communities is one of the many ways that we live into justice and equity together. Some of us have much to give and some have little, and together it is enough. We are enough to work together for a world where every human can live into their best and most authentic self. If electronic giving is your preferred method, or if you are on Zoom, virtual giving options are available via our website, springfielduu.org. The offertory today is 1+1 by Jack Widener, performed by Steve Samuelson and the choir.
When peace will come to stay, and nations will no longer trust the sword. When 1+1 is 1, and 2+1 is 1, and all are one of one accord. As one by one we learn to love, we must return, and the world is family. When all for one we are, we'll see the end of war. Let peace reside in me. Life will be sublime, and peace will transcend time, and each of us will feel a wake-up call. When 1+1 is 1, and 2+1 is 1, all nations will together speak for all. As one by one we learn, to love we must return, and the world is family.
Good morning. I am Jerome P. Jamrock, and I am at your service as a he and a him. Going to share with you a sermon first given by the Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern to the Palo Alto UU congregation on April 9th of 2006, just a few days before Passover, which of course has to do with the message, setting a place for Elijah or whoever the stranger might be. And that also explains a reference in the sermon to Passover being just a few days away or next week. So the words of Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern. The story is told in many lands and many times. The god, the prince, the prophet travels in disguise. He or she can bring gifts of good fortune and happiness. Whether we receive these gifts depends on whether we welcome the unwelcome. The gifts will seldom come from the source we expect. They will come from experiences we would rather have avoided. They will be given to us by people we imagine have nothing at all we want. And so this story, wherever it is told, gives the same advice. Prepare a place for the unwelcome. Welcome them in because they will bring you gifts beyond your wildest dreams. I have preached on hospitality twice before this year. Today, I urge you to make a place for whatever, and especially whomever, is unwelcome in your life. And I'm going to tell you why. Next week at Passover, in Jewish homes and synagogues all over the world, and in a few churches like our own, an extra glass of wine will be set out at the Seder for a hoped-for honored guest. If there's room around their tables crowded with family and friends, some will even set a whole place for Elijah, a comfortable chair in place, the silver polished, the best plates laid out, the crystal goblet gleaming for the Old Testament prophet whose return is said to precede the Messiah, who, in Jewish tradition, will transform our world from its broken state to one where injustice is unknown, compassion is everywhere, and happiness fills our hearts. They will make a place, and then they will open the door and sing the song Eliyahu HaNavi, Elijah the prophet. May he soon come to us, bringing the Messiah. They will pray for him to enter and watch the table, hoping for a sign. Maybe a child will see the wine go down by a sip. Maybe a parent will jiggle the table slightly to make the wine ripple and a fork shift. Or maybe, just maybe, someone will actually enter. In the stories, Elijah comes as a beggar. And as a child who saw many beggars on the streets not far from my home, I always wondered what would happen if, when we opened the door to the night, someone was standing there looking at our lights and listening to the warm laughter within. Would we welcome him in? It's all very well if you know it's Elijah, or Zeus and Hermes, or Odin, or any of the gods and powerful people of legend who likes to play this particular game. No one in their right mind would turn them away, even if they wore dirty rags for clothes, had matted hair, and smelled like they needed a shower. We know it pays to be welcoming to those guests, but that's the rub in all these stories. You don't know if the beggar is a god or a herald of peace, a prophet, a bearer of gifts. As far as you know, he or she is just a beggar. And that is true. We never do know where the gifts we long for may come from. We don't even know which of them are truly gifts. Some of them turn out to be burdens we wish we could give back. And then some of the things that arrive look like burdens that turn out to be our dreams in disguise. When I look at my own life, it seems to be just like that of the farmer in the Taoist story whose horse runs away. His neighbors sympathize. What bad luck. Maybe yes, maybe no, he says. The next morning, his horse returns, and with it are 3 other horses, wild ones from the hills. What good luck, say the neighbors. And he says, maybe yes, maybe no. His son, trying to tame one of the new horses, is thrown and breaks his leg badly. The neighbors bring food and expressions of sorrow for the man's luck, turning bad once again. Maybe yes, maybe no, the farmer says. Soon after that, the army marches through on the way to the front, drafting every able-bodied young man, and because of his broken leg, the son is left behind. Your bad luck has turned out to be good, the neighbors say. Maybe yes, maybe no, says the farmer. The story is still unfinished. Florence, this morning's worship associate, shared a similar story from her life, and maybe you have one too, of the gift that turned out to be a liability so far, or the unappealing basement office that turned out to be where you had the best job of your life so far. Maybe in your past, there's the story of the person you didn't even like much at first, who turned out to be the love of your life. Maybe you hated your pest of a little sister for the first 15 years of her life, and now she's your best friend. That's what's so tricky about this whole business of hospitality. You just don't know which guests you're going to be happy you welcomed in until you do it. They have a sneaky way of arriving in disguise. Our secretary chooses the art for the order of service each week. She is very creative and goes out of her way to find the appropriate image for the service. Often she finds more than one and asks me which one suits the service better. This week she came up with 3. 2 of them she had found by searching for images of Elijah. They were beautiful prints of a man with a long beard, long hair, a robe, a staff, looking careworn and laden with dignity as he walked through classical woods. Elijah in beggar's guise. Who would turn away such a beggar as the ones in these pictures? They were so much like the drawings of Moses and Jesus we have seen. They signaled to the viewer that this man is no ordinary beggar, that he is disguised, that he is not asking for gifts, but in fact bringing them. And in other words, they tipped their hand. And then there was this one. There should be a picture up there. Sorry. There it is. Thank you. And then there was this one. Aha! I told her, that's the one. She laughed. She understood why. This is how Elijah would come to us today. Not with a flowing beard, maybe, but instead with a face that's unwashed and unshaven. Not in robes, but in a hooded jacket and hands that ought to be gloved, but are exposed to the chilly morning. Not walking a lovely trail in the countryside, staff in hand, but crouched on a city sidewalk among the boxes that wealthier people have left empty. Or perhaps he would come as a newcomer at our church door, not one of the people you hit it off with right away, but someone who seems overly needy or even a little weird or just not much like you. Perhaps he would come as your teenage niece who's in a lot of trouble and has made so much trouble for her parents that they ask you if you'll take her in for a couple of months. Gods who wanted to test our generosity in California in 2006 would come to our door as immigrants without papers, without our permission to be here, without anything in their hands, apparently, but their longing and their hope. Perhaps they are here even now. Will we turn them away or will we welcome them in? Either destruction or reward will follow. So the story of Bacchus and Philemon tells us, but it's not a myth, it's simple truth. Only when we welcomed strangers into this country did we receive the talents they brought with them. Our cities are now blessed by the buildings immigrants designed and built. Our lives have been saved by the great scientific discoveries they made. Unwanted immigrants and their children have fought battles to preserve our freedom and made classic movies and taught our children and been our ministers. We need one another. A reading in our hymnal reminds us. No matter how independent we are, we need other people when we celebrate and when we mourn, when we first enter this life and need care and words of loving welcome, and when we are going down the last steps of the path to death. If we shut people out of our lives when life becomes overwhelming, we will drown. And if we bring them into our lives, we will be enriched beyond measure. That's why, as individual as our paths may be as Unitarian Universalists, we don't each sit in the corner reading Thoreau and meditating all by ourselves all the time. We come together as a congregation to hear each other's experiences, learn from each other, share books, share thoughts, sing together, know ourselves to be friends among friends instead of strangers in a strange land. What we long to become, we can become only in community. Who is the person who stands caught by the camera in the act of deciding, will he welcome this man into his heart or shake his head, move on, forget? The photographer has made him anonymous by neatly cropping off his head, his face. If we could see the expression on his face, we might know if he was about to turn away or offer help or stay and talk. But the photograph, leaves it uncertain. This way, he is no one and everyone, each one of us. Who are we? Who do we want to be? What expression do you want to have on your face as someone looks into it in hope of welcome? The United Church of Christ has made waves and headlines recently by creating 2 ads that the networks will not run. The first, which you may have heard about last spring, features 2 bouncers at the steps into a church. They have that stern, unwelcoming look and burly build of all bouncers. Some people they let in, others, a young Latino man, a gay couple, they turn away. No, not you. Jesus didn't turn people away, the screen says. Neither do we. We Unitarian Universalists pride ourselves on welcoming everyone. We affirm that people of all races and orientations are welcome here. We state it on our website and hang it in front of our church in the rainbow symbol of pride and celebration. We have no requirements for membership, but a desire to join and the pledge of $1. But it's not enough to have not to have bouncers at the door. Even the most conservative churches employ more subtle ways than that to keep unwanted people out, and they're just as effective, which is why the United Church of Christ ads touch a nerve. To really be a place of welcome means not only to refrain from turning people away, and not only to refrain from preaching against them and the things they hold dear. It means to prepare a place for them at the table. Imagine this scenario. Maybe it has really happened to you. You've dropped by a friend's house to bring by a sweater she left at church that morning. It's 6 o'clock and the family's clearly preparing for dinner. You can see your friend's husband hurrying between the stove and the table. The table is set for 4, just enough for the family, and it looks pretty crowded already. Your friend is a little distracted as she takes the sweater and thanks you. Just as you're heading out the door, "Oh, hey," she says suddenly, "do you want to stay for dinner? It's not much." She has her hand on the inside of the door and she is stepping behind you, filling the space you would have to walk through to come back in. Imagine now that when you ring the doorbell, your friend greets you. She says, "I realized as you were coming over, it's almost dinner time, and we would love to have you join us. Then we'll have plenty of time to talk. Can you stay?" She opens the door wide and gestures you inside. The table is already set for 5. They were hoping you would say yes. It's a bit of a squeeze to put 5 chairs around the table, but they've already done it. "Bob's made his special chicken," she says. "You'll love it. May I take your jacket?" In the first scenario, they didn't mean to be unwelcoming. They didn't do anything wrong, but you'd have felt like you were imposing if you'd accepted. You knew it would make extra work for them. In the second scenario, even though they don't have a lot of extra room, they made a place ready for you. Not only would you not be imposing if you stayed, it looks like they really want you to be there. Elijah makes it even harder. He doesn't come disguised as a friend doing a favor. He comes as someone who asks a favor instead. And that's how many people come into our lives. Unlike the very much wanted child we blessed this morning, some babies enter our lives unplanned, unwanted, and we have to find room, make room in our hearts to love them. Some parents are not the ones we would have wished for, not even people who should ever have been parents. Some coworkers make more work for us instead of lightening our loads. Some friends dominate the 2-hour phone call so long that we hang up feeling exhausted from having taken care of someone else's needs and having had none of our own met. Some people come to church not to donate money or help run a program, but because they need companionship and spiritual help. And every single one of these people brings gifts as well. Every single one. But we have to welcome them in if we are ever to find out what those gifts might be. Are you ready? There are friends out there who are still strangers to you. Because I love you, because I care about you, I beg you, don't go your entire life without meeting them. Say the yes that they will hear before they even ask, "Can I come in?" Prepare a place for them at the table. Open the door and sing aloud how much you long for their presence. By making room in our hearts, in our lives, in our communities, we can make people welcome before they even approach our door. Before they even raise a hand to knock, we can open the door of our hearts wide, just in case they're out there, looking for a circle of friends with whom to share a meal, looking for a home, looking for someone who will gladly receive the gifts they bring. Set a place, make room, open the door. That was the words of Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern, April of 2006. The interlude is Ross Madre by Rafe Vaughn Williams, performed by John.
So I wanted to just tell you that the instrument I'm playing this on today is kind of unusual. It's an E-flat alto horn in the shape of a mini sousaphone that was marketed unsuccessfully by a company back in the 80s. One of my aunts played this in a church band in North Carolina for 30 years, and I inherited it from her, and so I play it today in her honor, and hope you enjoy this.
Thank you, John and Eva. That was truly beautiful. I'm Millie. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a member of the Pastoral Care Circle. As a community, we share joys and concerns to keep connected. Slips of paper are available at the greeters table for those in the sanctuary to use for joys and concerns. During the week, you may send your joys and concerns by email to pastoralcare@springfielduu.org or by leaving a voicemail on the church phone 417-883-3922. If you're on Zoom, please use the chat box now for sharing your joys and concerns. All of these joys and concerns will be included in the members' email on Tuesday. We honor each joy or concern with a lighted candle, a symbol of love we as a community offer for each of these joys and concerns. This morning, Jennifer will be lighting the candles. Within the theme of invitation, we can discover both expansiveness and a return to challenges. We are invited to extend the love that is hospitality, both to strangers and to ourselves. Adrian Rich opined that change is not a threat to our lives, but an invitation to live. May we welcome these invitations as a pathway toward our truest selves. And now, as we begin this time of sharing, know that though we are in multiple physical spaces, we are together in beloved community. To begin, we hold in love all of us, those present and those absent. We light a candle for our church community. We have a joy from Emily J. What fun and laughs last night at the chili cook-off. Thanks for everyone's support. The MES cart was unveiled to transport chili. Thanks, Emmy. Next meal deal is the loaded baked potato mash bash. Mark your calendar for November 9th. We have a concern from Becky and David. A concern for Iris, a young woman we don't know, a Navy vet suffering from PTSD. Her mother asked for prayers on her behalf. A joy from Jesse. We had a good week and my sister is visiting. We'll check the chat box. Dacia has a joy to share. She shares that she really enjoyed a visit from her cousin Ellie. We light a candle of joy for cousins connecting. Jane shares that she wishes peace to her neighbor, Gordon Brown, who passed away this week. We honor the complex and heartbreaking struggles of our world. We light a candle for all who are impacted. In closing, for those joys and concerns that remain unspoken, we light a candle. She was getting off easy. Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah. May we hold each of these in our hearts and minds. May our community of love ease sorrow and boost celebration. While we are in multiple physical spaces, we still share space here together in intentional community. And now let us join in 1 minute of shared silence, followed by Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Our closing words are by Reverend Kathleen McTeague. Fear's pronoun is singular. I've got to watch out for me and mine. Love's pronoun is plural. We're in this together, and together we can grow things that will blossom, even in a time of drought. The final hymn today is From You I Receive. It's number 402 in the gray hymnal. Feel free to stand if you'd like and sing.
Eva's going to play this through once, and then we'll sing it together, and then we'll do a round again. A round. This side will start first, and then this side, and we'll just keep it going until we're done. Together. From you I receive, to you I give, I receive to you. Ready? Here we go. From you I receive, to you I give, and together we share, and from these we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Now we end. Together we share, and from this we live.
We will now extinguish our communal and personal chalices and follow with our unison words. Jennifer, would you mind extinguishing the chalice? Our service here is ending. Our service to the world begins anew.
Use the mic.